So growing up, my mom and dad met in New York City, the melting pot, right? Pakistani man, Dominican woman, both immigrants, right? My mom didn't even speak that much English, and I'm sure he must have spoke a little English, but I'm not really sure the origin story behind that, right? But anyway, I was a little kid. I didn't grow up with my dad. I grew up on the Dominican side, but Islam and that part of the earth and that region, and even further Eastern philosophy has always been a part of me somehow, and I knew it, you know what I mean? So I grew up Catholic, you can say, right? Going to church, not all the time, but my mom didn't push that on us, but I did the communion and baptism and all that stuff. But once I was like more older of age, like I said, you know, I'm gonna study this, you know what I mean? So like I studied the Quran a little bit. I started going to the masjid and praying. My first wife, you know, she was Muslim as well. So she introduced me to that more, right? So, you know, it's a weird combination. Like when I was growing up, nobody ever heard of that mix. Nobody. But now you see it more often, especially in New York. You see it because it's a big Pakistani population in Queens, and then, of course, Wash Heights, Dominicans. But Dominicans are everywhere. Corona, in Lower East Side, in parts of Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? So the Bronx, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. But Islam, as far as Islam, you know, I grew up, it was like the 5%er era, right? So it's not Islam, but it takes principles from Islam, and they created their own shit, you know what I mean? That's hip hop, right? Take shit and flip it, you know what I mean? So they flipped it and they got that science. So most of my favorite MCs all were 5%ers, you know, Rakim, you know what I'm saying? AG, you know what I'm saying? And Big Daddy Kane, you know what I mean? So like, they gave me knowledge, you know? So I didn't have my dad, but all these older MCs, Guru, like, rest in peace, like those guys raised me. I was raised with these MCs and their messages, and whether good or bad, you know, most of it was good. Thank God, you know what I'm saying? Yes. I met my dad, I met him once. Well, when I was a baby, I have flashbacks when I was a baby, but I'm not sure if it's because somebody told me a story or it's just flashbacks, but like him and my mom beefing in the kitchen, you know, alcohol involved or whatever, you know. So he came one day, like I might have been like, I don't know, 6 maybe years old or something. He came very well dressed, man. He had it was cold. So he had some type of hat, like not like a Moor hat, but like one of them Russian hats, right? For winter hats. Very sharp dressed man, and then, you know, I was happy, but I don't remember what we talked about, and he left, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? I never seen him again. I was a baby when he left. When they split up, I probably was like 1 year old or something like that. You know, I have 2 older brothers from the same union, mom and dad, and they remember more stuff, but negative shit. So that's why, like, you know, we all stayed away from that side of the family. You know what I mean? But I didn't get to witness or feel any of that. So I was more open to studying and researching stuff. And I do have, I think I have 2 sisters from his post marriage or whatever, post my mom, and I want to meet them. So if you guys are out there, I don't know who you are, but, you know, just hit me up. You know what I'm saying? I go by Dave Dar, but my name is David Dar. That's my real name. My name is David Salim Dar. Salim means peace, pretty much, and Dar is like haven, right? And David is King David. You know, I guess like my oldest brother's named Rashid, so that's a Muslim name, you could say, right? And then my second oldest is Jeffrey. So I think like my mom, after the first son, she was like, I'm not fucking with this Muslim shit, you know what I'm saying? So she started naming us like more biblical names, like, you know, Jeffrey and me, David, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. For those that don't know what the 5% Nation is, you must research it. It's a fascinating topic. You know, it's a beautiful topic. Clarence 13X, he was a former Nation of Islam member, and he started this offshoot because he was in the streets, so he dealt with the kids and, you know, criminals. So he had to cater it. They were all trying to reach the people in Harlem, right, streets. So he catered it. And he created the science. He's from the military too, so he had military background. Fascinating guy. Like, there has to be a movie about this eventually. They're probably working on it now, I'm sure, or they should if they haven't. But so that was very popular. Like, knowledge of self. See, when I was coming up, it was all about gaining knowledge of self and just opening your mind and your heart, opening to this knowledge that you never knew before. You know, and it's amazing because it just gives you so much confidence. You know, because the images we're showed on TV, you know, it's all negative, all black people all criminals when you see on the news, and my people, I won't deny it, we were selling drugs heavy. Dominicans is known for cocaine. My neighborhood is the kilo capital, you know what I mean? So like, and home of the haze, right? Haze weed, home of the haze, kilo capital. So we were doing that, but Dominican people are beautiful, energetic, happy, loving people as well. And they didn't show that side. They showed the negative side, you know what I'm saying? So everybody should definitely do their research on their ancestors and get the history of their people and get the knowledge of themselves. It'll make you a better person and brighter light in the world, you know what I'm saying? What I would recommend if you want to start to learn some 5% knowledge is just study the lessons, read up on the lessons. There are some books about it. I'm not sure the titles, but if you go online, you can find it. When I was coming up, it was more like hand stuff people gave each other, you know, and it's just something that's a good foundation for it, you know. And study the history of Clarence 13X. I mean, study Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying? Like he's the god. He's the first, in my book, he's the first MC, right? He would just get on something like this in Harlem and just start spitting, right? Spitting, freestyling. So, you know, Harlem is very pivotal in my life, you know what I mean? Because I was always into jazz music, but once I moved to Harlem, I felt that energy. Miles Davis, Coltrane, like all these other jazz musicians used to walk these streets, and it's all around there, you know what I'm saying? And African influence, a lot of Nigerian people live there. So you just gotta get knowledge of yourself, study your history, you know what I'm saying? Like go back, like who are your grandparents, your great-grandparents, you know what I'm saying? Your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. See, like the tension around the world is, you know, I don't want to get in trouble, but like I don't follow one religion, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm not a diehard Muslim, I'm not a diehard Buddhist, I'm not a diehard Christian, you know. I think the word is called omniism or something like that. Like, I just study all, you know, religions that I can, and I take what fits my lifestyle, you know. I think if everyone would just be more open-minded and just stay open, because once you go in religion, it can get rigid. But I'm not knocking religion because it's helped many people escape poverty, escape crime, escape negativity. But you have to keep growing, right? Keep growing, like, right? You got to that level, so keep going. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm about. I just reaching higher consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.